Stop. I do. I do not know.
Hey, Jim Schultz here for F-Cubed and livefcubed.com, man. And if you guys are anything like I was, just learning stock market jargon, just learning stock market vocabulary, man, it is no small feat. But having spent, 10 years in the world of finance, man, bachelor's, MBA, PhD, this is something that I know firsthand. And I know this, before you can ever hope to walk the walk, you've got to be able to talk the talk. So without further ado, man, let's dive right in. Little stock market lingo, little stock market terminology for beginners. Let's call this Investing in the Stock Market for Dummies, Volume 1, Chapter 1. First up on the docket, bull markets versus bear markets. And put very simply, a bull market is a market that has been rising for some consecutive number of months or years. A bear market, conversely, is a market that has been falling for some consecutive number of months or years. How did they get those names? Well, actually, here's a little useless trivia for you. A bull market got its name because when a bull attacks you, it does so by striking upwards with its horns. When a bear attacks you, it does so by striking downwards with its claws. According to the internet, that's true. Next up, the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones. These are both stock market indexes that have been structured in such a way to represent some barometer of the financial health of the overall United States economy. The S&P 500, not surprisingly, made up of the 500 largest companies in the United States, such as Amazon or Target or Apple. So what about the Dow Jones or the Dow? Well, here's a little Dow Jones Index definition for you guys. The Dow Jones is actually only 30 companies that have been hand-selected to represent each sector of the United States economy. So companies inside of the Dow include Coke or, again, Apple. Being in one index does not preclude you from being in another index. Now, aside from one index being 500 companies, and the other index being only 30 companies, the actual calculations for the indexes are quite different. But that is way beyond the scope of where I want to go with this video. All I want you guys to understand is that when you see some number or some value that is attached to the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones Industrial Average, you'll know that that number represents the value of those 500 or 30 companies respectively. And lastly today, a mutual fund. Some mutual fund basics. A mutual fund is basically where investment in that mutual fund equates to a tiny little ownership stake in each of the stocks, in each of the companies that are inside of that mutual fund. For example, if you buy shares of Netflix, you own shares of Netflix. But if you buy shares of mutual fund ABC, you might actually be buying a tiny fraction of Netflix and Boeing and Walmart and 55 other names. A mutual fund is the most classic example of diversification in finance. So naturally, you might be asking, Jim, so what is an S&P 500 index fund? Well, it's basically a combination of the previous two terms. It's the S&P 500 market index and a mutual fund, which gives you an S&P 500 index fund. And so basically, if you own shares in an S&P 500 index fund, then you own a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of each one of those 500 companies. So that's it, baby. Let's close the book on Volume 1, Chapter 1 of Investing in the Stock Market for Dummies, some stock market lingo. I certainly did not cover all terms that exist in the stock market world, but we cracked the surface on some of the more important ones that I think you need to know. So you guys know the drill, man. If you guys found this video useful, hit that like button. If you want to share it with a friend who is also trying to learn the stock market, that would be terrific. And as always, please consider subscribing. I'll see you guys next video.